Okay, now.
Okay, I'm really sorry. I have a real job, and my CEO actually was like, oh, wow, you're going to be doing this. You totally need to record it.
Yeah, that's gotta look good on the resume.
Mr. Wolf, I am really sorry. Please don't fire me. All right, hi everyone. I'm Elena. I am also known as E.M. Ervin. I'm a writer. Yay! But one that has to have a day job still. I published my first book a few months ago.
Hooray.
Yay! My second one is actually going to be out this fall, so I'm super excited about that. I'm very excited about most things, but just know I'm also excited about that. This is Ben Reeder.
I'm the one true Ben.
The one true Ben. All other Bens are lesser Bens.
I will find them and destroy them.
So if anyone here is named Ben, I apologize. Please don't tell him. Even though it might be entertaining, especially when we have it on film for the big cam. Ben is actually, he published his first book 5 years ago. And he's published several books since then. So much so that 2 weeks ago, this big jerk was able to quit his day job and now does this full time.
Woo! That's why I'm sort of the teller of this presentation.
I feel like I really need to have an applause sign.
Huh?
Living the dream.
He is.
am.
It's also called an anomaly.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, your as I am fond of saying, your word count may vary. Most of the time, if you're going to be an independent published author, if you want to get to the point where you are going to live off of what your books sell, expect to get to about 5 to 10 books. And I did it in 4, but you know, that is an anomaly.
So yes. That's why you keep saying he's effing brilliant. I'm just adorable. Can't really say just adorable because I mean, come on, look at me. So also he mentored me a lot through this process. Ben and I have known each other since before that thing was born.
Videographer.
And so when I was getting to the point where I was getting ready to, I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna actually finish this. Help! Ben has mentored me a lot through this whole time. And since we're here, I really think everyone should call him Ben Senpai. However, do it in your most squeaky, annoying anime voice.
Or you can simply say, "All hail Ben."
I second the Ben Senpai.
I think he likes the all hail Ben.
I do.
Now this panel is going to be reviewing the hero's journey. This is something that you're going to see very common in TV shows, in books, in comic books, in video games, even in animes. So it's a very similar journey throughout the whole thing, and you're going to see a similar structure that you're going to be able to look back and reflect on this. And it's a lot more interesting than what I just made it sound like, so please don't fall asleep.
I'm sorry, we gotta go. Slendy's waiting.
No, I totally understand. I'll miss you guys.
I'm sorry.
It's
Hey,
okay.
Slendy.
You can please. Bye. Bye.
There he goes.
Okay. So one thing about the hero's journey is that there are more aspects to it than you can generally put into just one story. We're going to be covering the basics today, some of the basic things that you will almost always see, but there are, I think, like 64 basic things that Joseph Campbell covers, and then a gazillion more when you get into deeper things. But we're going to cover the most exciting parts because the rest is boring.
I also, not that we're boring ever, I also want to point out that this is an interactive panel. Ooh.
Woo.
So if you guys have questions, please ask. If there's something you don't understand or you want to know more about, or if you want to take it a different direction, please let us know because, well, while we enjoy hearing ourselves talk, we really do like hearing you guys talk too.
So yeah, kind of starting off with a question. Heroes that you like, let's make it work for you guys. Name a hero in one of your favorite story arcs.
Gilgamesh.
Huh?
Gilgamesh.
Gilgamesh. Okay.
From
We'll start with Mythic today. I like it. There's
Jesus.
Wait,
Okay, how
it's
about we try this?
fate/0, fate/9.
Oh, no, not the anime Gilgamesh.
Okay.
No.
He was totally taking
No,
the
the
road to the
Mesopotamian
anime con.
myth.
Alright, how about this? Full Metal Alchemist. Oh, honey, I can't hear you, but you can totally fangirl. Yeah. Because I'm sorry, he's kind of. Yeah. There's a reason why I used that one first. Oh, let's see, Death Note. I think that somebody in the back here might know.
Well, it depends on who that you think it is. It's either L or Light.
Who's the hero?
Well, who would you say is your hero?
L.
I couldn't really, yeah.
Really, I would, it'd be a long shot guess on that one. Which, truth be told, I have never actually watched Death Note, so I'm just going off her cues.
Okay, please don't say that.
I just heard a slight gasp.
I do have a Death Note with me.
Okay, then S reader. Okay.
Oh.
Immune.
Bleach. See, I love you. She said Ichigo. How about, this one's gonna be a really hard one. Naruto?
Hinata.
Yes! But you have a main character who is, generally speaking, going to be the hero. Now, there is something about those main characters that makes them different from the very beginning. It could be their little Mary Sue-ness, or, Batman.
So.
My parents are dead.
Yeah.
My parents are dead.
Yeah.
Full
all
Batman.
Heroes, all heroes are orphans.
Yep.
Luke.
Not Hercules. He had two parents.
He had two sets of parents, yeah. But so let's take a look at some of the heroes before they become. What makes them different?
Well, I would say I have a special gift.
Okay.
Smarts or something like that.
Born with some sort of terrible destiny a lot of the time. Oedipus or.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah.
Born with a terrible destiny.
Yeah, knowing your life.
Every generation of
Hamlet.
Slayer is one.
Oh crap! I was born with blue hair. You know what this means?
Ah! Oh, the burns, the burns.
I'm standing right here.
Well, your epic destiny is obviously on its way. You didn't kill your parents.
I'm gonna miss my mom when she's gone.
Oh.
I was just hoping he'd be like, Greg.
So yeah, there is something slightly different about them. So, in their day-to-day life, they are obviously a little bit of an outcast. How many heroes really do we run across that have the perfect life to begin with?
Dude,
Naruto.
Naruto was totally popular in the Leaf Village, right? Okay. But they all had reasons why they were outcast. It was usually because of whatever made them special, whether because they were really smart or they were just sort of freaks when they had blue hair.
Right. Welcome to the panel. There's
Hi,
a song
we actually
dance.
were waiting for you guys. So, I'm very happy to see you, and I'm really excited that you guys were able to make it.
Thank you.
Yes, so.
Or maybe they can go off planet next harvest.
Or
Dun dun
Yeah,
dun.
always.
Ah, friggin'.
Never their mind on where they were, what they were doing. So yeah, there's usually something slightly different about them. They're usually an outcast. And then we get to the whole, how do we know when the journey is about to start? The door opens and someone comes in.
everyone gets to a hand party here.
Random person.
Bye, guys.
Was it something we said?
It's all good.
Bring it back. Thank you. Pick it up for a song. So yeah, usually, how do we, when we see something where their journey begins, something that changes their world. We had a note card here.
It's behind you.
There we go. Because I'm at a loss for the term. world change? Here we go. So, how does their world change? We usually see something traumatic. This is the call to adventure. So, in Death Note, what's the call to adventure?
Whenever the death note drops from the sky, I would say is when that starts.
Okay. Now,
For light at least.
Huh?
For light at least.
Right.
Mhm.
So now, when the Death Note falls, what does light do with it? Does it
At
pick up?
first, he wants to put it back, and then he's like, I wonder if it really does work. Let's try it.
Okay, now that is common in a lot of them because the call to adventure is not always heeded, and sometimes that results in that has tragic results. So the Death Note fall, yeah, there's always the call to adventure. Look, something new, something strange. Pick me up, play around with me, find out what I do.
Who's shining?
And it usually scares the heroes a little bit. Now, some of them are crazy enough to go, we're going to do this anyway.
Think about it for a second, you got the tools of a Shiigami, so of course it's going to be a little scary.
Exactly.
Just a
And
little
I was
bit.
like, we can use the same thing with Bleach, though, because, alright, Ichigo was kind of a freak. It's okay, he's kind of my kind of
To
geek.
be fair, he was born a freak, apparently her powers was just the catalyst.
Exactly. However, and that's exactly what we were just talking about. And it's something that draws them. And they're always at first going, I don't know if we should do this. And they don't really want to go forth with it. And we usually, yes, hi.
Kamina egging his blood brother on in Gurren Lagann.
Really gone follows the hero's journey really tight, actually.
Ah,
Yeah, very much like Star Wars,
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Those
yeah.
are actually Star Wars, Harry Potter, and The Hobbit are usually the examples that we use.
Just regular old Harry. Right after a guy drove a motorcycle in his vacation house,
Right?
So yeah, and so what happens? Yeah, you have a call to adventure, and sometimes the hero says, "Yes, I will go on the adventure." Sometimes the hero says, "No," and the call to adventure is a little insistent,
And drags them in some cases.
which is how
Exactly.
Luke Skywalker ends up an orphan twice. And then then it's I want to come with you to Alderaan, become one of the ways of Jedi, become a Jedi like my father. So yeah, the call to adventure is rather insistent. And at that point, the hero has to make the decision to embark on the journey. He really doesn't have a choice. Or they've made the choice, and now they're getting to the point of no return. Now, what happens right after that, in many cases, is that the hero, having gone, okay, now somebody says, no, who's your guardians? Who are the guardians? Let's go with Bleach. Who are the guardians of the gate? Who keeps the hero from? Who's trying to keep the hero and failing miserably early on?
Well, here in Bleach, it's people that end up becoming his allies later.
Oh,
Because the Shinigami are basically like, I'm sorry, baby, you're human. You need to sit here and just be cute.
Well, this human just kicked your butt, so.
Right? But there's always an impediment. In Bleach, Byakuya thinks that he puts a stop to that. And then there are times where they stand in their own way.
Right. Sometimes
Bleach
the hero
is literally a gatekeeper. Like
There is
that
literally.
big guy.
right? And
And it's a few different times. You see a lot of repeat themes in the hero's journey a lot of the time. But you're always going to have those guardians that come forth, and sometimes they become allies later. Sometimes you're able to defeat them, and you have to go back and fight that final boss 3 more times. Just really depends on what's going on.
That sounds familiar.
now at this point, the hero has he's defeated the gatekeepers. Got an agent, really. Wrong kind of gatekeeper. He's defeated the guardian of the gate and is crossing the threshold. Now we start to see things, and some of these things happen in different times, because then we start seeing the fun stuff start to happen. The magic sword.
Sometimes it is literally a magic sword. Sometimes it's a lightsaber.
Or plasma field confined within a magnetic field, but it's still
Right.
magical given what wielders are capable of doing without it.
Right.
Right.
There.
Well, what is it? A tool. It's a tool to make the hero something more than just the average guy. Granted, the hero has all his ability, has this, you know, this, what makes him special. But the magic sword is sort of like we find you worthy. It's almost a token of worthiness.
And even in Death Note, it can take repeats because it's the Death Note also. Still the same thing.
Find someone's name, they die. It's, like I said, it's basically a tool that's, while metaphysical in nature, is very consistent.
Right.
Right, and it's one of those things that is a specific tool that the heroes inherently believe to be worthy to carry, worthy to use. And then, of course, we have the cast of characters that the hero usually gathers around him right around this point. Now, most of the time, we have the mentor who shows up early. You know,
It's usually that crazy old man, Obi-Wan.
yes.
Or
There's
just
a
somebody
name,
that
I
just
forgot.
seems nuts. You know, Gandalf. Or this man.
Or I guess in Gurren Lagann's case, just the nuts part.
Right.
We're common enough.
And even Obi-Wan, Yoda later. They have them in all of the like even in Bleach, I always call him Mr. Hattenfox. Kentucky. But it's that crazy old guy that shows up going, "Hey, you got something cool? I'm going to torture you." Just giving them lessons, teaching them,
Katake
and
is
kind of guiding them
literally.
along the way. And then it turns out, oh, they're doing a lot more, and they're really pushing along everything that's going on. The archetype is that crazy old man. A lot of the time, they're going to end up kicking it at the end.
Or before the end, yes.
Mr. Miyagi and Karate Kid.
Yes,
Because I was just sitting here
Yes.
going, I think
Wax
that
on.
that one is older than some of the people here. A lot of the people here.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen the Karate Kid, the very first one, you need to see it. It
Right.
is.
Pat Morita makes a perfect mentor because you
Yes.
never know, and that's the thing about the mentors. You never know what it is he or she is actually up to, and suddenly later on you're going, wax on, wax off. Oh my God, I know karate. You know?
Well, but Jackie Chan just remade that a
Yes.
few years back.
And he did an excellent job. I think he was a good not replacement, because I can't say replacement, but he was a good successor to that role.
Right. But it's that same sort of thing that you're just like, all right, I'm doing this, or I'm listening, or I'm going to go on this adventure with this crazy old dude, and I don't really know what I'm doing, or what they really want from me, but they really want me to stand right here on this X. It's going to be fine. I can totally trust the crazy guy.
What's that whistling sound? And then of course along the way,
My favorites. Sidekicks!
sidekicks, right? Sidekicks never listen.
Don't go into the
I'm
obvious
upset
trap.
that Amy Pond's already left because, I mean, you stay here. But the sidekicks fill several different roles as well. The sidekicks will start to befriend our hero. Even though our hero is kind of a freak and the outcast, they start to befriend our hero for their, badass and actually a hero. And they start to give the hero a reason to fight, a reason to support, and he starts giving that hero that sense of security.
And it also, to my way of thinking,
An emotional anchor.
emotional anchor, it also grounds the hero in his or her own humanity, in what keeps them as a hero, as opposed to even as an anti-hero. It is their sidekicks are they're like the court jester. Your sidekicks are the ones who can say anything to the hero and get away with it.
Well, yeah, and Doctor Who is an excellent example of that, for him to, always go back to, I'm gonna protect Rose, I'm gonna protect Amy, I'm gonna,
he's not human, but he's been around us long enough that.
But it's that
he can be.
humanity.
That's
And
a
it's
humanity
also
a long
that,
time ago.
yes.
Could sidekicks also act as a detractor and in the same thing, you know, like in Romancing the Stone, where the publisher says, "You'll never make it, you're gonna die," and as
Yes.
she's walking through.
It keeps, exactly. They keep them anchored. They keep them humbled sometimes, but it's also, but they have a purpose. And they keep them a little bit more grounded. Sometimes they are that gatekeeper though too. Like one of the gatekeepers where it's like, okay, I don't feel secure enough to take that next step because my one friend here keeps telling me I can't do it.
Ooh, remember that moral support? Sometimes it's a giant punch. Oh wait, I'm thinking about Girl Gun. Well, it snaps them out of their emotional instability, so it works.
Well,
A little
and
aggressive, but given it's coming at that does a lot of it.
there are also really times, especially as the hero grows and they have their magic sword and they're becoming Billy Badass. Those sidekicks and those friends are the ones that are going to be like, you're getting too big for your britches.
Right.
What are you doing? Or, hey, you're starting to forget the path that you were originally walking on. You're forgetting the reason why you're doing this. You had this thing driving you and you're getting away from that.
They're again getting it back to the emotional anchor. They are the anchor to what the hero actually become, you know, basically for all that they are becoming and transforming, there is still that seed of humanity.
If that anchor requires a giant punch in the face, so be it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
There's
or
some-
an emotional punch in the face, exactly.
Or a
And-
long
and-
speech. Each.
What happens if your entire group is basically a bunch of badasses? Again, Girl Gun.
You still will have that primary character. Parties are a little bit different, but
When you get a whole group of badasses, you still have one who's more badass than the rest.
It's like, you know,
Or
like
the leader.
the Knights of the Round Table, there's always Arthur, like Arthur's always the.
Right.
Any one
the
of them will kick their
centerpiece
ass,
of
and
the
then
story.
one of them will annihilate, atomize you, while the other will just
It's
injure
like,
you.
Sir Lancelot was a better knight, but the story was always about.
exactly.
Right, exactly. Oh, look, someone brought the magic sword.
We must grab them.
Part of the hero's journey is the magic sword. Sting is the magic
Supernaturally.
sword. So,
Everything
now, and
Yes.
Actually, with the group, my book that I'm writing has, they're not like sidekicks to my main character because they're all heroes and there's elves.
Mm-hmm.
So can a book actually just have just straight up heroes, not really sidekicks, but
Yeah. Well, okay. When we say sidekicks, that's not necessarily. Your book does it have one person that it focuses on?
yes, kinda.
So here's the thing: is when I say sidekicks, I don't really mean necessarily your traditional. I don't have any superpowers, but I'm going to follow Batman around because I've got this really awesome tights. It's not necessarily
Which Robin was that?
But it's more, think of it more as a support network. Because for you, you've got your group of heroes. But there's one person, and it could be like the youngest person, or it could be whoever is the focus of your story. Think of that person as the hero of your story. Now, whether they're trying to join the Avengers or anything like that, because I'm pretty sure somebody would cry if I called Batman or Superman a sidekick. Actually, that makes me feel really like warm and fuzzy inside, so I'm gonna keep that one for a minute. But it's more like they're supporting characters. They are going to be there to help them along. They might double as the mentor without being that cranky old man who ends up dying, but they're still going to be giving that support, and they're going to be helping them along. So it's kind of like in your story, they would probably still be considered sidekicks, even though they're not.
what
If that
you're also
makes
looking
sense.
at is instead of a hero on their own, you have a group of heroes. You have an ensemble cast. You still have your primary character. You have your captain now, but everybody else has their own story to tell within that. So an ensemble cast with the hero's journey, there is still that journey of transformation they're all going on, but it affects each of them differently.
And you may even do, like, if you're doing a series, in your next book, it may be a different person who's that hero of that book. And your main character in this one ends up being the mentor or one of the support cast or something like that.
Right.
So when I say sidekicks, I don't actually mean as a derogatory because, I'm sorry, you can get into a lot of trouble with sidekicks, and I personally love them.
Right.
I use them in my own book to cause a lot of trouble.
See,
Bad.
And where I run into the problem with an ensemble cast is I tend to write first person. It's really hard to tell someone else's story when you're writing first person for someone else. But that's one of the tropes of urban fantasy. Now, the thing is that the whole thing is there's still the hero. The cover is really pretty strong with the hero. Then there's the journey. So you got your hero. He's past the threshold. Pose real quick. And then it's Ervin. I think it's gonna just come off as a masterwork.
Dang. Hate your praise, Gil.
I know.
I'm sorry, we're geeks also. If you hadn't noticed by us being here. But the hero's journey is also a journey of transformation. Because the hero, starts off as, I don't fit in anywhere. And that sucks. And I'm awkward and socially weird and nobody likes me and I don't like me and I have self-esteem issues and then they leave home. That may turn really oppressive for most, like especially for animes. If you've noticed, the main characters tend to be like, what?
Come at me.
I don't care that I'm 5 feet tall and everyone else is over 6. Who are you calling shrimp?
So it is about a story of transformation because that 5-foot hero, that hobbit, that strangely blue-haired person, is I know.
He's doing it on purpose though.
Is on a journey of transformation. They are becoming the hero, and in the monomyth, because you brought up Gilgamesh to begin with, they are seeking something greater, a wisdom, the way to defeat the Death Star,
Mortality.
And so there are things that they encounter on their journey. One of the first things that they encounter are temptations, usually a tempter or a temptress, or a situation that will tempt them.
The ring.
Yeah.
It's all part of the
She's rich. So there is
I'm
that.
gonna go hang out with the Hobbit after the panel.
Right, there we go. You can come hang out at our table.
Yeah, there you go.
We have snacks. We're gonna be having second breakfast. Actually, no, we just had second breakfast. By the time we're done, it'll be about time for Lindsay's.
First and second breakfast.
Would you have coffee?
In our room, yes. Welcome.
They don't actually let me have coffee.
It's not. No.
It's been a standing rule at 3 different places that I've worked at that I am not allowed to
Hero's
have
Journey?
coffee.
I'm here for the Toronto. Which one is that one?
The what?
The Rodnowski?
Not here.
Think,
Yeah.
I think it's that one. But it was really great seeing you guys. It was.
So partial.
Have a nice day. Make good decisions.
I don't forget, is there gonna be your karaoke here tonight?
We don't know.
Why are you asking the panelists that?
They just let me go from the table a little bit ago.
Right.
I have to go
Why
right back.
are you being about no coffee?
Oh,
Yeah,
I
he
have
wasn't here for the lady bomb.
I
I have a very sensitive system, and you give me any caffeine, and I can vibrate through this wall. It is a badass superpower.
Oh God,
One
you're.
that I've lost so many friends. All right, so you were saying.
The coffee.
Fear.
Right, if there's gonna be coffee, yeah, no.
Not a good thing whatsoever.
Slightly hungover from last night too, so today is fun.
Dude, I should have hung out with you last night.
I know who you're hanging out with tonight.
Dun, dun,
But
dun.
yeah, there will be temptations, and then there will be the trip to the underworld. Now, you know, it's
Sometimes more literally.
Yeah.
Like
Percy
in-
Jackson?
well, yes, Percy Jackson. He goes down, he's like, oh, hey, we're totally going to.
Sometimes literally, like in the Iliad.
Like the
Odyssey.
Iliad, Percy Jackson, I mean,
Yeah.
because Percy Jackson was done very much after the, you know, in following the Greek myths and trying to do that.
Semi-literally in Star Wars, it was like a trash compactor.
The
Exactly.
well,
I
the
love
Death
the
Star
trash.
itself was the trip to the underworld.
Well, it's also where he met the goddess. There's his meeting with the goddess was pretty
Yeah,
cool.
and that was with Leia, yeah. And then in
It's a good thing he's so damn pretty.
Did I hear a derp?
yeah, Moria in Lord of the Rings
Yes.
was the you know, or in the Hobbits. In the Hobbit,
The Goblin Caves.
Right.
Actually,
Part of it.
there were two of them. Because there was one in the Goblin Caves, and there was another trip to the underworld, in of all places, the Elven King's dungeons.
Oh yeah, the dungeons.
And that I think was where Frodo emerged more as the hero.
And it's usually after they get through the underworld or the rough equivalent thereof that they come out on the other side and they really show their mettle and show that thing that made them the outcast and the freak from the beginning is what brings them through. Because you know, especially as writers, you make your people freaks for reasons. I mean, I do it because I like to torture my characters. I'm a bad person, I'm sorry. But my books are fun. I mean,
Book.
so, but you give them those qualities for a reason. And those qualities are going to come back and help them later. And that's one of the things that helps make it more well-rounded, is if you tie all of that in. And whatever made them feel an outcast, whatever made them feel different, that's what carries them through the temptations, that's what carries them through the underworld, and that's what makes them stronger in the end, that really helps them evolve and become more powerful, to become our heroes.
You're right. Okay. Now, from that point, we Card of Doom. Out of Doom to anything, it becomes something awesome. But
Table of
after
Doom.
that, then we come through. We have the atonement. Almost immediately after the rebirth, we have the atonement and rebirth. This is where the hero does start to come into their own. This is where Luke decides, yeah, I'm gonna get an X-wing and fling myself at this planetoid-sized star. We have the point where Frodo decides.
Planet cracker.
I'm sorry.
The Death Star would be a moon-sized planet cracker, technically.
It's
a
a
cracker.
space station.
Well,
Yeah.
one atomizer, but you get the idea.
Right. Well, and the point being is that, you know, or Frodo decides, I'm going to go chat with the dragon, or Bilbo says, I'm going to go chat with the dragon, or where Sam becomes the hero, because Sam in Lord of the Rings has his own moment of heroic badassery. He takes a level of
takes the
badass.
mantle, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I may not be
it's-
able to carry the ring, but I can carry you.
Exactly, and
Exactly.
it's like, that's where that story actually changes. I personally love it when you take a little trope and you turn it on its ear. But that's really where all of a sudden it's like Sam going from that sidekick status. And this is like what I was just saying before, like when you go to that next book, suddenly it's like, oh, this other person is really taking over the reins, and it's like, no, I'm gonna carry you, I'm gonna take these last steps for you, and really help you out. And that's where our little sidekicks can sometimes be elevated.
And I've done something similar in one of my books where, while throughout the story, my main character is the focus of the story, as it really turns out, he was all about making two other people something even more awesome, which is why he has in that book the Page of Swords as opposed to the Knight of Swords. Sometimes your hero can be the catalyst for other heroes to become their heroic self. And then of course, you know, you have that moment of badass, you know, where you blow up the Death Star, you drop the ring in the volcano, or right? And you get that moment of triumph, and that the thing is that is not the end of the story. That is never the end of the hero's journey. When you've blown up the Death Star, killed the dragon, dropped the ring in the volcano,
defeated the anti-spirals,
you know, or come on, give me some other examples here. I'm sputtering, come on.
Killed Smoke.
Killed Smoke.
Kick the Soul Society's ass 5 separate dimensional ways.
Not just 4, but 5.
Not,
you know, but
not
that
4.
is not the end of the story. And this is where we come to the hardest part of the hero's journey. In that the hero has this new wisdom, this new, you know, the hero's taken a level of badass.
Sometimes 2 or 3.
Sometimes 2 or 3. All of his buddies have taken a couple of levels of badass. And then you have the return home. And that's where things get weird. Because, you know, the guy that goes, but guys, really, I'm cool like you. Somebody comes home and goes, yes, hi. I'm that badass that you heard about. You all suck.
But it's taking that hero and sending him home and going, hey, you know, your adventure's over.
Nice
You
job.
gotta be a real boy again.
Nice job. Bye-bye.
Yeah,
I see you,
and
Lever.
the thing is that when it comes down to it, the hero really doesn't get to come home. The hero is changed.
The journey changes the heroes, sometimes very fundamentally. For example, Bilbo was able to go home, but he was kind of made even more of an outcast after he came back because they're all like, you know, he's a troublemaker.
And they tried to take all my stuff.
They did.
I know.
I am so glad
Tim,
you
those
showed
Sackville
up.
I
Baggins.
was very unhappy with them. They were very unhappy with me.
I
I know.
know.
And then you got on the boat.
And like he learned to like despise greed because of what he saw it do to his friends. So when he comes home and sees his family trying
Doing
to
the
sell his
same
things,
thing.
and
And
he
then
learns to
there's
despise
usually
his
a
own
reflection
family.
with that.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be that time, like Harry, do you think he could go back to the Muggle world and just be like, hey, sup?
without having the world certainly interact? No.
Exactly.
Well, and-
That,
I mean,
that
even-
duality is unsustainable, especially given that the Muggles' technological revolution is going to go into overdrive in the coming decade after
It's
the
sort
series.
of like the allegory of the cave. You can't like go out and see the sun and then just go back into living in shadows, you know?
Exactly. And that is exactly the point, is that the journey itself is going to change the hero along the way. And it's going to make it more difficult for them in the long run, and it makes it more easier for sequels.
Also true. Also true. And you see this. You see this also in a lot of video games. One of the most popular video games, you know, post-apocalyptic video games, Fallout. The hero returns, having saved the day, brought the water chip back, everything. You're going, great, but you know, you've changed so much. Thanks for saving us. Go away.
We can't let you back in the vault.
We can't let you back in the vault. Exactly. You know,
Two different, like, you were kind of a freak before.
Now you really are one.
Two different now.
precisely. Or when you get to
A badass that can help re-spark someone's civilization. That's a little scary for those that have been stuck in the ground.
precisely
We make people
hero-
want to leave the vault.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it comes down to it. I think this is one of the brilliance of Peter Jackson when he did Return of the King. Is that one moment in the pub where early on we see that scene where they're all having fun and just jovial, and this is the greatest moment ever, every night like that, and then at the end, yeah, it comes to pints. I'm having one. You've had two already. Her there you have that moment where, yeah, they're all sitting around the table, the four of them, very quietly, very solemnly, because they've lived these adventures. And this is that moment of, we are so different from everyone around us. And Tolkien does a great job of it actually in the books. With Merry and Pippin leading the charge against Saruman, having tried to take over the Shire. They didn't need the humans help. They were different. They were heroes. but again, they were different and always will be. And that's the thing, is the end result of the hero's journey is this massive transformation that has taken place throughout the various things. And again, there's so many things that you can use in the hero's journey, and I will get just.
Might be good to get everybody else's question, because when I'm playing crack open, it'll probably take a while.
Well, at the end of the hero's journey, there are so many facets that can make those changes happen in the hero that you don't have to worry about getting bogged down in, oh God, this is so formulaic. No, you can mix and match. You can pull things in, you can take things out. You don't have to use all 64 bits of the hero's journey. If you do, oh my God.
Good on you.
Yeah, if you do, that is going to be a little formulaic. But if you do it well, my hat's off to you.
But it's okay to take those and kind of turn them on their ear, or kind of have fun with them and play with them a little bit. I like I was saying earlier, I like to take, stereotypes and tropes and kind of go, what? Like in my book, Wake Up Call, I really wanted somebody to, I wanted a damsel. But my main character, Jo, she's not really damsel material, so she has to go rescue a sidekick who's a dude. And it's a little bit upsetting for him, which I go into more later, but it's like taking that kind of thing and going, hey, how can we make this fun?
Right.
And then be entertained with how you're doing it also. I'm easily entertained, so I don't know if that really counts. I will sit there and be working on something, and I will sit there and start cackling. And my son has actually learned that if I start giggling while I'm writing, he's like, you're doing something awful to someone again, aren't you?
Or she's not even writing.
No?
A fun thing to do with that is to make your characters a little genre savvy. I have a whole scene in my book in my first book, dedicated to the hero and the sidekicks, because the hero in my book is socially awkward because he hasn't been in life for the past 7 years working for a demon, or 8 years working for a demon. So they're talking about, oh dude, we are in so much trouble, because here we are out in the middle of nowhere, in a remote location, away from any sort of help. We're so in the middle of a horror movie. The other one says, no, that's this plot profile. We don't fit the victim profile. None of us are drunk, none of us have had sex, none of us had beer, we've got all our clothes on. We're fine!
None of us are blonde.
Yeah, that's called making them genre savvy. Now, at a certain point, the main character flips the genre on them, because he turns around and says, okay, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to be about half an hour. If I'm not back in 40 minutes, you know what to do. Sidekick's answer is, yeah, follow you and try to help and get captured instead. It's not my fault the sidekicks never listen. You switch genres on me. But it is fun to take that and be a little savvy about that, because we do tend to tell that same story, whether we know it or not.
Especially in modern stories, because we have so many movies and anime and comics.
It's really good to make them a little meta. Someone who's in that kind of situation, who has consumed TV tropes over and over.
Right, and it's easier because we both have a young adult series. And it's a little bit easier, especially when you're dealing with teenagers or people in their early 20s, that it's like, oh man, I'm the sidekick. I don't want to be the sidekick. Or something.
That you can make them genre, and that's the whole thing about genre savvy. So you have a question.
There are entire checklist on TV tropes that you can read. For example, you want to become an evil dictator or overlord.
Oh, that's the evil overlord checklist. It's not actually on TV tropes. I know the one you're talking about. Yeah.
It was transcribed on there though.
Yeah.
And I wasn't informed there, but there is a copy of it on TV tropes.
My favorite one is with, when the hero breaks into my castle, I will always keep my 4-year-old granddaughter with me, so that when the hero breaks into my castle and tells me it's time for my ultimate demise, I will tell him, and explain this to my granddaughter. And once he launches into a long, drawn-out explanation of morality and good and evil, I will have my granddaughter press the button and brought the hero to a pit of alligators because it's always good to spend time with the grandkids.
Most awkward take your granddaughter.
I will not monologue.
My favorite is all files will be padded to 2 terabytes of information.
Right?
Random garbage.
So,
Or at least
These are
bad karaoke night.
These are the basics of the hero's journey, and we can cross-apply it to so many different things. And I encourage you guys to play with those when you're writing. Look at it, and even if you're not thinking of it in those terms per se, but to still be able to see what's going on, how it's developing. Do you guys have questions, or we can
Yeah,
just
you promised
babble?
you promised to open a can of worms.
The doctor.
Uh,
His journey.
Okay, his journey starts on Gallifrey. The Guardians at the Threshold are the other Time Lords themselves. Because remember, he had to steal the TARDIS.
For the museum, no less.
Exactly, yeah. Or maybe it's actually the TARDIS's journey.
But anyway.
Except it was a mutual steal.
Right, they stole each other. But yeah, I mean, okay, so you were saying.
But the TARDIS is really the magic sword, or the sonic, and or.
Genius Loci, location,
Right.
sidekick, and the
Well-
list goes on.
Well, actually, the TARDIS is usually the chariot, like the Millennium Falcon, because there usually is a chariot.
But there are also times where it's more personified, and I don't mean a Neil Gaiman's one.
It's like under the broad category of a supernatural aid.
Right, exactly. And usually his magic sword is the sonic screwdriver.
Or the limiter or the nagging wife. Like I said, he's a
Usually
multi-purpose.
this is the iconic one within the story. But yeah, I mean, you've got all these other things that you can carry around.
Here's the other thing about Doctor Who. It's been going on for 50 years.
Like I said, can of worms.
Yeah, no, I mean, Doctor Who has gone through several different heroes' journeys, and
Like I said,
I
can of
mean,
worms.
each season, each iteration, they have their own, and they also have an overarching one. So it's more like he's on wash, rinse, repeat, and going through the whole cycle over and over again. And he's constantly, very literally, changing and evolving as a result of his journeys.
Yep.
And the thing is that his atonement and rebirth begins in every generation.
Again, and again, and again.
Exactly.
Well, and that's the thing is that new wisdom, and suddenly he becomes someone else.
Same knowledge, but the experience has to be done again.
Yeah,
Well, but it's kind of as is with life. If you guys never stop learning, never stop moving forward, never stop changing and evolving, because then you just sort of stop growing in general. That.
There's also an overarching one, like the Return Home. Originally, he was an oddball, a renegade. He got exiled to Earth, got unexiled.
Yeah, he never stopped being.
Yeah,
The only difference is that Gallifrey starts to change as well.
Right.
The Gallifrey that's going to be retrieved from the pocket dimension is we broke it, and they need their heroes.
Well, the Gallifrey has always, to me, been portrayed as slightly broken.
Well,
even-
it's past the threshold in which that repair can be
Gallifrey,
done.
like it represents like stagnation. Like,
Right.
Yeah,
That's
holding
why they say
everything
they
perfectly
had-
still.
yeah, exactly. Because time loops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
anytime
pretty
you
obvious
put
they have
Lord at
relative,
the back of your
a
name.
relative movement, but
Yes.
it seems that they were stagnated. They need another tape for civilization to shake things up finally.
Any other questions about the hero's journey, or any thoughts on that? Any other heroes on a journey? Because this is where I like to go with it, is that we are equally. I mean, if you look at it, you can embark on your own hero's journey as a writer, as a person, as a fan.